I've got 10 pages to read, I've got 5 days to read it. If I break it up into 2 pages per day, see, here's what the normal curve looks like. I remember what I learned first and last best. However, if I break it up over days, then I come and I tend to get this pattern that we're getting over big time, and I tend to stay more up here, and whatever I learned here becomes prior knowledge for this, becomes prior knowledge for this, becomes prior knowledge for this. There's a study that just came out. I got it in an email today, psychologists in California. And of all the learning strategies, spreading information out all over time that you learn makes a huge difference. So this makes a difference. You're staying up here. This gives you time to replenish. Sociology, I've mentioned this before. You're reading about norms. You'll read about it all semester long about norms. It'll be on every page in every chapter. But if you don't understand what norms is, when they define it, explain it, and give you examples, and you don't learn it at that point, you're dead. You cannot read as deeply. You'll pass the class perhaps, but you don't really grasp what's going on. You just see the word norms, and you don't have the depth for what it means. However, if I do get it here, it becomes prior knowledge for everything that I'll be reading about later. It'll talk about different kinds of norms and what have you, and the depth with which you read it, because you've got the prior knowledge built in. Overnight, while you were sleeping, the brain consolidates information. All those new dendrites you grew, got 100 billion of them up here, it consolidates them. It makes connections. Remember how when you're trying to read something and learn it, information comes through and it looks for things you already know? It's doing that during sleep, big time. It's making connections that you're not even aware of. Your brain knows stuff you don't know you know. But when you hit it, learn it, and see it again, bam, you know it's there. It becomes like prior knowledge for you. So has everybody got a sense of this in terms of time? There's another aspect of time, and it is time intervals. Maybe I should write this down. T-I-M-E-T-E-R-V-A-S. Time intervals. Here's the thing that you did for homework. You created a mind map, and it was related to your conceptual framework. As you were creating your mind map, here's when you should stop and take advantage of a shift in time. I have read something, it's important. I have stopped, reflected what I already know about it. I've used my strategies, thinking like that. What am I doing? Stop and do that. If I can say it in my own words, I am ready to put it in my map. Whatever this is about, I'm ready to put it here. Then, of course, I draw my picture and what have you. I have read this. I do not go on. Here's the time factor. I do not go on until I can see this in my mind's eye without looking at it. If I or write it on a piece of paper, it's a quick self-test, but it's powerful. What you do is you get the re-exposure that strengthens that dendrite while you've got the examples, the illustrations, while you're understanding rather than highlighting. That same research I was telling you about said highlighting doesn't work very well unless you do something with what you highlighted at the point you highlighted. But highlighting turns out to be very low effectiveness. Okay. If I can look away, that's a time interval. I'm going to circle, this is big time interval. I stop, look away, and I reconstruct it. If I can't, I need to look back and make sure I learn it. Because this is when you need to, when something's important to learn, you need to learn it now. I do not go on to this one till I can do that, first time interval. When I go back and read this, can I say it in my own words? If I can, Come on down here, put it in, draw my picture, look away. Can I explain this without looking at it? But the second time interval that's huge is not only can I say this one without looking at it, I want the re-exposure that builds that myelin sheath, that strengthens that dendrite, keeps it, when that electrical storm runs through your brain at night, and it's wiping out dendrites, you don't want it to happen. The second time interval is, can you say both of these, see it in your mind's eye like a picture, so that you could walk away from your notes. Can you see it and say it in your own words? And that works the same way all the way through. I don't go on till I can, do you see that pattern right there? Now, there's another pattern. You have done this. You created your map. You did those things that have this time interval in it. The thing you need to do now, when you have finished your map, can you reconstruct your whole map without looking at it? Can you look away, see it, say it? Huge, huge, because you really need to strengthen that dendrite and build that myelin sheath now. You will actually know more in less time if you bother to do this with your thinking. Whether you actually draw a map or not, do you stop? I've got the information, can I say it in my own words? And especially on a map, can you see your map? Because it's very powerful. We need to learn to do imagery. Oh, imagery. The third thing in this study, talking about students creating imagery while they're, and this is a form of imagery. It could be just pictures in your mind of whatever's going on. That's one of the high learning strategies, because they did a ton of research, what's working and not working, because instructors do a lot of stuff. They think it works, but it doesn't work. They just think it does. Because they've been doing it, it was written in books and what have you. So now we go into the time intervals, and the first time, other time interval is immediately. Well, somebody I-A-T-E-L will say immediately. We'll say that's how it's spelled. Immediately, we do that as soon as you have finished your map. The second one is you do it within 90 minutes to 2 hours. Whatever you're doing 90 minutes from 2 hours from now, you need to go over your information. If you have just completed a map, and this is what mind map makes mind mapping very powerful. Because what are you going to be doing 90 minutes for 2 hours now? You're going to be at work, you're going to be driving home, you're going to be in another class, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. But if you have learned your map so that it is in your head, and you have done this kind of repeated pattern that got you that re-exposure and built that myelin sheath, strengthened those dendrites, then anything that you, any place you have a space of time, it only takes a few seconds. You just stop and you say, oh yeah, we're talking about normal and abnormal anxiety. Now we're talking about generalized anxiety. Normal is this, abnormal is that, the symptoms are this. You know, you can just see it. You go over it, you're strengthened. See, everything's strengthened in dendrites in this sheath up here. This is huge. They have found that if you do it within 90 minutes to 2 hours, it is huge. Because after that, the forgetting starts to really drop off. So we do it here. Now, if you can go over your mind map right before you go to bed, right before you go to sleep, lay down, just go over your mind map. You got it in your head. All of you reconstructed your map right here, so you got it. What could you have done that would have made it stronger, quicker? And that's what I'm talking about. Since you bothered to do the mind map and learn the mind map, what would you do while you were doing it that will make it longer so that you can recall it the next day? And two, if I ask you a month from now about generalized anxiety, do you know it? You're going to forget a little, but the learning curve, instead of what typically happens, does something like this. So we've got to get that going like so. Three. B-E-L-O-R-E-S-L-E-E-P. You're just laying there, what have you. You say, not now, honey, I'm studying. That's just the way it goes, okay? So, not before sleep. And then if you do it the next day, you get up the next morning and you do it anytime during the next day. You want to free yourself from your notes, from the book. You want the information to be here. Next day, you go over the information. This is just a pattern. And after that, you can double the time that you review this. It takes you seconds to review the map that you took 10 minutes doing nicely for me, to just do it in your head, go over it. So the next day, double the amount of time. If you do it the next day, then do it 2 days later. And then after that, you can do it 4 days later. I mean, you may have classes where you have to learn something that you don't have a test for midterm. Do you know what kind of forgetting occurs within all that? It's bad news. You're cramming the night before like mad. But you can learn it in a way you know it, so that you can go back over